Okay, hi, big welcome to this presentation about how can you seize this opportunity, this, let's say, new reality, because let's face it, we are in a new reality, and I would much rather be with you, everybody, at the same room, but it is what it is. And we have to seize this opportunity, and as you will see later, we will try to establish and to see some trends that are out there right now, and how to seize them and how to play to your advantage, basically. So what we will try to cover today is how to seize these latest digital trends and to expand your business internationally. But let me first start with a few words about my background. I am in this digital business now for more than, let's say, 20 years. I've done more or less everything that is to be done in the digital business, from the creative agency that I've owned to let's say, one of the biggest portals in this region for shopping or deep discount shopping, so e-commerce basically. And at the end, I've also run all of the portals for Styria Media Group in Slovenia. So my background is mostly about, business, digital, and how to connect the two, and how to be successful in these business models. What we'll cover today basically are 6 trends that are influencing and that can help you to establish your business internationally. So first, we will try to look at user penetration across Europe. You will see that now, more than ever, it's the right time to be expanding over Europe, and there's a lot, for you out there to be in terms of, seizing the market. Then we will try to look at video communication on the rise. This is something that is going on right now, and we will see how this is expanding all across Europe and, of course, globally. Then we will try to look at the boost of e-commerce. And how, at the end of the day, it can help you to seize your business and to put it out internationally, or mostly within Europe. Then we'll try to see what are the e-commerce services right now out there and how they are becoming a commodity, and how, of course, also the European institutions can help you with that, because as we will see later, Europe is now determined to establish a big single market all over Europe in terms of digital. So we will try to see that, and we will also, at the end of the presentation, give you maybe some few tips around how to, what to be really concerned about when you're going internationally, or when you're going into the e-commerce business. So of course we will do a flyover of all these things, because we don't have enough time to dig deeper on each of them, but you will see from a business perspective what can they mean to you. So let's firstly look at the user penetration across Europe. What we're seeing is that basically kind of 10 years ago, there was a digital landscape in Europe where you can, reach a lot of audience, but not all of them. Now we're approaching numbers where I can easily say that you can reach almost everybody all across Europe, not just in some of the countries, but mainly in all of the countries all across Europe. As we can see, the user penetration in Europe is a little bit higher on the northern states and a bit lower on the southern states, with Iceland being 99% covered, so everybody is on the internet, and for example Greece being 72%. But all around, as an average, Europe is on around 87% in user penetration, which means that most of the people are out there. There's a total of 730 million users that can be reached all over Europe. And this is a market that you can easily penetrate, because it's, as we will see later, connected with a lot of things that are unique to Europe and that are covering all of the states in Europe. So this is something that is out there for you to be kind of reached. Also, we have seen enormous penetration rise in Russia. Russia is now at 80%. So this is another big market that it's right at our doors, so to speak. So taking a look at the platforms all over Europe, we see that not just in Europe, but I would say internationally, there's a rise of access from mobile platforms like your mobile phone or tablet or whatever. Nowadays, looking at the latest figures, for example for Slovenia, but it's the same also in other countries, you will see that 80% of people are accessing content online from so-called mobile devices. So this can be your tablet, your mobile phones, your television, your smart television, and so on and so forth. There's an uprise in access from mobile devices, which is now more than 50%, which accounts of more than 50% of access for all the digital content that is out there. So this is one of the things that you have to bear in mind when you're looking at how you will develop. And if you're developing your e-commerce business from scratch right now, I would definitely say that you would have to go mobile first. So being aware that mobile is one of the biggest concerns in terms of how will people be able to buy from you. So of course there's computer also, computer access. The main focus here is just for you to understand that computer access is usually more, let's say, inclined on browsing in let's say higher lengths in terms of your content. So usually people will browse or try to buy something on your site on mobile, which is more faster, in a faster way. Whereas the computer way would be a way that it's more lengthy and that gives user more time to shop online. So this is something that you have to bear in mind. Tablet access is not a lot of them, but it's mostly connected to mobile, so you don't have to be concerned about building a tablet site or whatever. This is all into this in this mobile let's say range. When we're talking about how and when the users will be able to shop on your site, you have to bear in mind that typically digital has no, let's say, quote-unquote prime time. As for television, for example, the prime time is evening or afternoons. And what we see in digital is that users are online most of the time for 24 hours, especially if you look at the business internationally. Because for example, if we look at Europe, you will see that there's a high rise when we basically wake up until when we go to sleep, and there will always be somebody that will be out there and try to reach you. And this is important to know because you have to have some good technical capabilities to be able to offer 24 hours all around the day your products out there. So this would be a, let's say, quick look at what the users are like out there and what you can reach in terms of business potential. But let's look at the second, I would say, most important thing and the most important trend, and this is Europe trying to form a single market. I don't know if many of you know, but one of the basic, let's say, one of the basic goals for Europe in the coming years is to form a unified digital market, which we call a single digital market. And the main goals of that market would be that everybody has the possibility to shop online on whatever country, on whatever region of Europe, and to and from whatever region of Europe. Because nowadays a lot of people, let's say in even UK or other countries, would just buy within their borders, not within the whole of the Europe. Of course, this is not saying that all of us are buying just in our own country, but a lot of them are. It's nowadays something that you have to, let's say, bear in mind that a lot of, let's say, a lot of customers that you will receive will be coming from this region where you are present right now. But this will change in the following years. As I said, Europe has to develop this digital market that will be accessible, from wherever. So what are the main goals, let's say, in Europe to do that? Is Europe is trying to for improving access to digital goods and services. So it's trying to build an environment where the digital networks and services can, prosper, and bring digital as a driver for growth. Because as we can see nowadays, we have these markets that are kind of, closed. Even if we are, the United, let's say, nations of Europe, all of the markets are closed. And Europe has seen that in these markets becoming digital, we can really open up and try to, and try to really enable everybody to buy from anywhere to anywhere. A lot has been done also in these, years that has kind of already now expanding the borders of this digital reality. For example, one of the kind of biggest achievements of this digital single market strategy is, for example, the roaming capabilities that we have now in terms of mobile. This was one of the biggest goals for the European Commission and for the European Union, to try to enable everybody when we are crossing the markets, that we will not pay more for the same access. Meaning that we can again be active in each and every market of the European Union. The second biggest thing is that something that you maybe know as one of the biggest pains, but at the end of the day is something that is uniting Europe, is the GDPR initiative that we have all over Europe. Why is this important? Because we are seeing that this is kind of unifying the European market, not just within Europe. So because GDPR is trying to achieve the same, let's say, legal framework in every country, but also within Europe, trying to establish their own market versus China or America and so on and so forth. And we are already now seeing that this is taking effect. For example, you would see that not all of the events in US are now accessible for European users. Why? Because they are stating that they cannot follow the GDPR rules. So this is important to know, that this is not only trying to establish a legal framework, but also to establish a really unified European market, where on every digital market that is in Europe, you will have the same rules, which for you as a business goes really a long way, because you know that when you will be expanding to other territories, you will have the same rules as you have in your own country. So this is something that is good to know. Not only that, one of the biggest point here is to really have a level playing field for everybody. So this, I think, is especially good for small and medium businesses in smaller countries, because when you have a level playing field, it does not matter if your business is based on, in Slovenia or in Hungary or in, Monaco, if you will, but you have the same access to the same amount of customers all over Europe. And I think that this is especially good for, again, small countries and small companies. So this is something to bear in mind, and this is something also to know that Europe will help you in expanding your business. The third trend is, video communication on the rise. We are now talking, on a video conferencing system that will allow you to, have some knowledge without actually being in Slovenia or, let's say, other countries. Why is this important? Well, of course, because a lot of people are now being, kind of connected through this video communication. Whereas before, just some of the people have used this, medium, of course, and services to connect with others. Now we're seeing that more and more people are doing this. From this health crisis on, from the COVID-19 crisis on, basically all of the video conferencing platforms have risen in usage, and I can say that, everybody that everybody that is in business and uses and has this opportunity to use the video conferencing will be using it. Why is this important to you? Well, because there's a lot to be gained from that perspective. So, for example, first of all, more customers. You can easily talk to more customers, not trying to be all over Europe and talk to them, but being in your own country and try to have some video conferencing with all of them. Of course, nothing will change that first impression when you are trying to seek a new partner. For example, you're, I don't know, in Italy and try to seek a new partner in Bulgaria. You will travel there and have that handshake that we all know that it's important. But from there on, you can actually oversee your business in Bulgaria or Romania or UK or whatever with a lot of video conferencing. And this is, it's less expensive, of course, because you have less travel, and you can do more work and you can have more contacts. And at the end of the day, of course, you can have more partners and you can also talk to more customers, all within your country. So you don't have to move. And this is now really affecting all of the businesses. I mean, we see, as you will see on this slide, we see that some of them are gone really, far. For example, the Japanese have invented the pajama that you can, be in the pajamas the whole day, but then you have the video conferencing and, as you can see just this part, you will see that you're all, in your business attire, but from there on, it's just pajamas. So what I'm trying to say is that, this is one of the trends that is really being boosted by the whole situation that we have now in terms of, the health crisis, but it can really be good for you. As Italians say, non tutti i mali vengono per nuocere. So not everything that is bad for you, but some of the things can be good for you. So basically, you have to seize this opportunity to build, new relationship and to build, of course, the new reality that can help you at the end of the day. So what does that mean? First of all, no time zone. As we have seen, where everybody is working from home, there's not a classical 9 from 5, work day. And this can be, of course, bad and good, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that can be considered. You can have, I don't know, a big lunch from 2 to 3 o'clock and then work in the afternoon, maybe, with some partners in other time zones. So this is one thing that, can be really good. And of course, the ability to meet larger teams, because usually, you have this problem where you go somewhere and somebody would not have time to meet you or whatever. But here, within video conference, you can really meet large teams. And you can say, for example, if I have an e-commerce thing going in, in Italy, I want everybody to be there, and everybody will join from their home office, and you will all talk with them from one point and one perspective. So this is also something to be considered. If we move along to let's say the next I would say trend, because of course e-commerce has been a big trend for now some years, but now in this new situation, again in this COVID situation, is also booming a little bit faster than it would be, let's say otherwise. It's important to note that, of course, the new situation has struck especially some businesses. For example, in e-commerce, we have seen the latest trends. Some of the businesses have even more, even more business on e-commerce that they have, been they have before, but some of them have maybe a little bit less. What is more or less, across the line, what we have seen across the line for every business is that the businesses that did not have a digital, let's say, a digital presence or an e-commerce presence have, lost a lot, because when everything out there was closed, basically the only way to sell was through e-commerce, right? For a lot of the businesses. And this has to be bear in mind, because this is something that will not, be shut down as we have seen now, from today to tomorrow. And it's just, good for you to have an e-commerce business going on. As we have seen, the growth all over Europe and also, in other countries in e-commerce has been, big, to say the least. And it will not stop now. What we have to bear in mind is that 20% of the US businesses right now sell online, and this makes up to 80% up to 18% of turnover. These are, let's say, starting figures, which on one hand is good, because as we have seen, the market is developed, the market is there, and there's more business for you to out there, right? So it's not a really high competitive business right now, but it will be in 1 or 2 years. So it's something that you must really seize right now. As we can see all over Europe, people are buying and ordering goods. 8 out of 10 users in the UK have already shopped online. 6 out of 10 e-shoppers in the UA have bought clothes or sporting goods online. 96% did not experience problems for shopping online. So shopping online is something that we do and something that is trusted right now. So it's really, again, something to seize for everybody that has his own business, either small or big, of course, in all around Europe. People are also accessing internet from work, and this is, there's much to be said for business-to-business, kind of business-to-business shopping or business-to-business e-commerce, because in terms of how do we reach online, there are more people that have the possibilities to be online on work, that of, for example, on home. So in terms of business to business, there's also much more opportunities that maybe on business to consumer. Another thing to be aware of is that consumer nowadays represent just 7% of total sales, while 30% of the sales is kind of computer to computer based. So this is e-commerce that is running from businesses to other businesses through computer sales, or let's say all around business to business sales. So again, much opportunities to be seized all around Europe. Another thing that is maybe even more important is that e-commerce services are now becoming really a commodity. I mean, for example, if we take the MarTech, let's say, community of services that are out there, so this is all of the services that are online and can be used for marketing purposes. There are now 8,000 different services out there for you to buy. And none of them more or less cost more than 100 euros per month. So what this means in terms of entering these new markets and these new realities is that this is not very costly. And not just that, you have a lot of things to choose from. So different realities that can really be incorporated in your company and for your needs, not just being out there for some big companies or big organizations, but also for really small ones. We see now people and companies that are small, kind of 2 or 3 employees, that they have built their own e-commerce services on these services that we will go through later on, and they are spending kind of 500 euros on all these services, including ARP and all the background services, and trying to sell online, and they're doing quite a good job out there. So it's really something to, you first of all look forward, and secondly, you have to know that more or less everything is already developed. There's no need for you to develop really big, e-commerce services on your own. Everything is already out there. It's just a matter of, trying to have maybe a good consultant that they can point out some things that are already there, and then for you to choose. So when we are talking about what is already out there, you would see that there are amazing realities already out there, from large e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon, where you can basically tomorrow plug in your whatever you are selling and try to seize this big e-commerce platform to really go from today to tomorrow to new customers. We also have off-the-shelf solutions like Shopify, for example, where you can build an e-commerce site in 2 minutes, more or less, and offer something that you have already offered in your country to other countries across the borders. So again, this is something, for example, as we are discussing these off-the-shelf solutions, these offer an easy and kind of really easy and start solutions for a very low price, but they can be of course also upgraded. So when there's really big possibilities of scaling. When you go to other countries, you will easily scale with these solutions, and you will not be at one point to be kind of constrained because you have gone with the off-the-shelf solution. And at the end of the day, you can also build your own kind of momentums. For example, there are solutions that are already pre-made, but that can be expanded for your own variations. For example, Magento is one of them. You can really easily, set up an e-commerce solution and then try to, okay, I this is really offering me much, but I have really some of the things that are not kind of in sync with my business, and I can expand them by reprogramming just a little bit, not the whole solution. So again, a lot of things are out there to be seized, but not only in the, let's say, e-commerce business. If we look at, for example, this is just an example of Swedish marketplace landscape. You have numerous solutions for advertising, content, social and relationship, e-commerce, data, management, marketing, and so on and so forth. Everything is out there. You have to just choose. Of course, there's more to be said about choosing wisely nowadays, because every of these platforms has to be connected. So it's good to have this insight about what is good, what kind of platforms are good and connected with other platforms, and what do I really need, because again, there are 8,000 of them out there, and you have to choose and know what do you really need. But there's no need for you to build something that is really costly, and it can be built from today to tomorrow. So this is something that you really have to bear in mind. To kind of sum up this latest trend, I would say that in terms of moving to other countries, you have to bear in mind that there are kind of there are three basic steps that you have to consider. One is the software solutions. So how will you expand, and when, and to other countries, and to which other countries, and which software solutions will kind of tailor your needs the most. Then the other would be payment solutions, because this is something that you have to account. There are, of course, a lot of payment solutions out there, but you have to consider that in some countries, some payment solutions are much more used than others, and vice versa. So this is something to really, of course, all of these, shopping, let's say, software as a service variations will offer you all of these payment solutions, but you have to bear in mind that, for example, for some of the countries you will use, mainly credit cards, and for others you will use also some really local solutions of payment digitally. Then something to be also really considered when you cross borders is, of course, some things that are connected to the market itself. And we will see this in this kind of, last part that I have set out for you. So which are the things that really you have to be kind of focused in terms of when you're crossing borders, because usually I receive these questions about, should we, for example, if we're in Italy, should we first go to France, or should we first go to Switzerland, or should we first go to, I don't know, a big market like Germany? And of course, there are a lot of things to consider, like I said, software, like I said, payment solutions, and so on and so forth. But also what you have to consider is usually you follow your language, In some of the instances, for example, it would be much easier to expand from Italy to Switzerland, because we know that, a part of Switzerland is also Italian speaking. And so it's much more easily for you to expand this business, because in terms of languages, you have to know that, of course, you have to, expand all of your existing solutions in other languages. And secondly, you have to know, the culture also of that particular place. So, for example, it would be maybe a little bit harder to expand from a northern country to a southern country and vice versa, but it all can be done, and usually is done when you have, for example, in terms of expanding in e-commerce, it's usually done when you have a person that is running your business in that particular country. For example, there are a lot of good, let's say, strategies that were involved in last years in terms of expanding the business from, I don't know, Germany to southern countries or whatever, but they have always been done mostly the same. So in terms of pushing marketing wisely, you don't have to, have additional people on the ground there. But in terms of other things like language, business connections, and so on and so forth, it's good to have another person in that particular territory. Not just that, of course, one of the biggest problems and concerns is also logistics, right? And usually you would have this one person that is out there that would really cover, the logistic part in a rightly manner, let's say, because if you don't have this logistic part really set up, you will encounter problems in terms of user dissatisfaction, let's say. But more or less, like I said, where you have a few tips is, first of all, maybe follow your language. If there are markets and territories that speak your language or something similar to your language, then you should probably be considering these targets as some first targets to expand. Then, of course, logistics. Of course, you can also send things in terms of logistics from your own country if you are expanding into bordering territories, let's say. But if you're expanding from, I don't know, from south to west or whatever, it's something that you have to consider. Of course, this can be very challenging, but usually do seek help from joint industry organizations. These are organizations that are there in every country, joint industry organizations about e-commerce or marketing, and they will help you to get the best partners that are out there on a particular market. So as a last, let's say, tip, I would want to you to consider the competition that is out there. We have been talking now, in the last minutes or half an hour about how much opportunities are out there, and there's a lot to be said that this is the right time to go out there, because as we have seen, there are a lot of users out there. You can reach them easily all over Europe, and there are not a lot of, let's say, costs connected to that. And as I said, you can easily set up your own software all around. There's of course some cost in HR, but more or less this is all accessible. What I would like to point out is that again, there's a lot of competition out there. a lot of people are trying to, get in contact with the users. Users have been, bombarded with every kind of, message and market communication and so on and so forth. So maybe as a last tip, I would say that you have to really be ready to invest in, marketing and sales communication, because if not, you will not, cut through the all of the communications that are out there. And as you can see, you as a user, you can easily see that there's a lot of communication out there that you cannot, grasp in all of the reality that you would really want. So this is maybe as a last tip: be really concerned about how much, and be prepared to invest in that, because if not, you can, set up all these things that we have discussed, but you will at the end of the day be without customers. So it's no point in doing that. So maybe as a last point, I will go through all kind of the things, kind of a main takeout, if you wish, all of the things that we have kind of discussed today. So again, as we said, there's a great deal to be discussed about user penetration across Europe. You can easily reach, let's say 87% of all Europeans right now. And this is something to be seized, absolutely. And of course, this is just Europe that we're talking about. Then you have, Russia, US, and so on and so forth. Secondly, video communication is on the rise, and don't see it as a threat. See it as an opportunity. See it as something that you can really grasp and, trying to have your business running more smoothly with more contacts, less costs, and of course possibilities to have these large groups of meetings that maybe you did not have before. There's a boost of e-commerce, and you should certainly be a part of it. It's not just, this boost of e-commerce, as we have discussed, is not just about, others going online, but as you can see, this boost of e-commerce is also meaning that you have everything that there is to have out there, so you can just go and buy it. And this is really different if we compare this to 10 years or maybe 5 years ago, where you had to build your own e-commerce service, and this was costing a lot of money. Now it's much more different. One of the trends was like I've said now, e-commerce services are becoming a commodity, and this is good for you. This is something that you can seize, and it's much less costly. And have faith also in Europe building this digital single market. This is the right place to be out there, because again, Europe will do a lot of things also in the coming years, but a lot of things have been done to unify this market and to give equal opportunities to each and every customer, but also on each and every company that is out there. So for you, especially as a small company, this is something that goes, right into your direction. And at the end of the day, like I said, these few tips. So follow your language if it's possible. If not, go, of course, in English, because, there's much to be said also about the English markets or Spanish markets, Spanish-speaking markets. Then be mindful of logistics. This is something that it's really not digital yet. So you have to, bring these packages from your company to the consumer part of the journey, but be mindful of logistics. Be also mindful of the communication costs, which will be at some point, big investments, because if you want to reach a big amount of customers, you will have to invest. And this would be kind of, the biggest, let's say, first steps that you have to bear in mind. Of course, like we discussed also, the payment options are also something that you could stumble upon if you don't really know what is out there in a particular market. Bear in mind that, all markets are now opening. We have seen, of course, the biggest growth in UK, in Germany, and so on and so forth. But for example, Bulgaria and Romania right now are really, ramping up e-commerce. Of course, they are starting with maybe one of the lowest percentage of people buying online. But again, there's a lot of opportunities there also. So, wrapping up, I wish you a really good e-commerce success out there. And also, I wish you much more, let's say, face-to-face meetings that we had in this period right now from February on. But, like I said, there's a new reality out there, so we have to adapt. And we, are more or less used to adapt, because if you're in business right now, if you're not adapting, you will probably die. But not also adapt, but to seize all of the things that are new, to be, kind of playing on your advantage. And I think that, or I hope that some of the trends that we have gone through today will help you in doing that. So, big hug to everybody. Bye.